Hi there, I'm Emily Muehlstein with the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and this is a public hearing video on a framework action that considers modifying red grouper catch limits. So the Council recently took final action on Red Grouper Amendment 53. Now that amendment modified the red grouper allocations and the catch limits. It also converted the catch limits and allocations from the old Recreational Data Collection System, MRIP CHTS, to the new MRIP FES. The resulting allocations that were selected in that document were 59.3% commercial and 40.7% recreational. And you can see the catch limits that were set below. We're here because the Council's Scientific and Statistical Committee recently increased its recommendations for the red grouper overfishing limit and acceptable biological catch based on two things. First, it used an interim analysis which increases the red grouper abundance estimates based on the National Marine Fisheries Service bottom long line survey data. Next, there was an increase to the average weight of recreational landings that were used in that last stock assessment, which increased the biomass and weight of the fish that can be harvested. And based on the Council's Scientific and Statistical Committee recommendations, the Council can now consider increasing the catch limits, which include the overfishing limit, acceptable biological catch, as well as our annual catch limits and annual catch targets. So why are we here? Well, the purpose of this document is to modify the overfishing limit, acceptable biological catch, annual catch limits, and annual catch targets for Gulf red grouper based on the results of the new stock analysis for red grouper. And the need is to revise catch limits consistent with the best available scientific information for Gulf red grouper and to continue to achieve optimum yield consistent with requirements from the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act. So this document is pretty simple. It's just one action with two alternatives to consider. Our first alternative, as always, is the no action alternative, and that would retain the red grouper overfishing limit, acceptable biological catch, annual catch limits, and annual catch targets that are going to be established through Refish Amendment 53. Again, this table will show you what those values are. The second alternative would modify the red grouper overfishing limit, acceptable biological catch, annual catch limits, and annual catch targets based on the recommendation of the Scientific and Statistical Committee. Now remember that recommendation is based on the Science Center's bottom long line index as well as a change to the recreational weights in the last stock assessment. Now, this alternative would use the allocations established in Amendment 53, and it would also use the ACT buffers that were established in Amendment 53. So that would give us a 5% buffer between the annual catch limit and annual catch target for the commercial sector, and a 9% buffer between the annual catch limit and the annual catch target for the recreational sector. And then the resulting catch limits can be seen here. So just to wrap things up, the Council is considering a 700,000 pound increase to the red grouper total annual catch limit. Keep in mind that implementation of Alternative 2 in this document is contingent upon implementation of Amendment 53 and the sector allocations and corresponding catch limits that are established in that amendment. It's also important to note that the Council plans to continue to monitor the health and status of the red grouper stock on an annual basis. So with that, if you have any public comments, we'd love to hear from you before we take final action on this document at our October Council meeting. You can do that in one of two ways. You can submit your comments to this link online, or you can simply email us at gulfcouncil@gulfcouncil.org. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and send us your thoughts.